Let me ask you something honest. How many times have you told yourself, tomorrow I will start? How many times have you made a plan, felt excited about it, and then done absolutely nothing? How many dreams are still sitting exactly where you left them? 3 months ago, 1 year ago, maybe even 5 years ago, waiting for a version of you that never seems to show up. If that question made you uncomfortable, good, because what you are about to hear is not another motivational speech that makes you feel better for 10 minutes and then disappears. This is a story, and inside this story is a truth that most people spend their entire lives running away from. Watch this until the very end, because once you understand what one old farmer understood, you will never look at your own life the same way again. In a quiet town beside a wide, slow river, there lived a young man named Ryan. Ryan was 24 years old, and Ryan had everything he needed to succeed. He was intelligent. Everyone said so. He was creative. His ideas amazed people. He had time, health, and youth on his side. But Ryan had one problem that swallowed all of those gifts whole. Ryan could not make himself begin. Every morning he woke up with fresh intentions. He would stretch, stare at the ceiling, and think, today is the day. Today, everything changes. Then he would check his phone, watch one video, eat something slowly, feel a little tired, decide to start after a short rest. And before he knew it, the sun was already setting, and another whole day had disappeared. He was not stupid. He knew exactly what was happening. And that knowing, without any changing, made him feel worse than anything else. At night, the thoughts would come. Your friends are moving forward. You are wasting the best years of your life. You have so much potential, and you are throwing it away one empty day at a time. He had watched hundreds of motivational videos. He had made schedules and written big plans. He had bought books he never opened. But nothing stuck. Nothing reached the place inside him where the real problem lived. And deep down, he was beginning to believe that something was fundamentally wrong with him, that maybe he was just lazy. One afternoon, a message arrived that broke something open inside him. His closest friend from school, a boy who was never as smart as Ryan, never as quick, never as creative, had just launched his own business. It was already growing fast. People were talking about it. His friend was building his future. Ryan sat alone in his room staring at the screen. He felt something cold move through him. Not jealousy. Something far worse than jealousy. Recognition. The recognition that the gap between where he was and where he wanted to be was not made of bad luck, not made of missing talent, not made of unfair circumstances. It was made entirely of days. Days he had spent waiting to feel ready. Days he had spent choosing comfort over growth. Days that were never coming back. He put his phone down. He walked out of the house. He walked to the edge of the river. He sat there watching the water move and asked himself one question: how much longer am I going to wait? While sitting by the river, an old fisherman came and settled nearby. He had kind eyes and quiet hands. He did not speak immediately, just sat with Ryan in the sullen sea way. Only older people know how to. After a while, He looked at Ryan and said, "You look like someone carrying something very heavy." Ryan nodded. "I waste time," he said honestly. "Every day I waste time, and I do not know how to stop." The old fisherman was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "There is a farmer who lives just over that hill. He is old now, but 40 years ago, he sat in this exact spot and said those exact words. Go and see him. Tell him, the fisherman by the river sent you. He will know what to say." Ryan looked at the hill. For one moment, the old familiar voice whispered, "Maybe tomorrow," but something else inside him, something small and tired of being ignored, said, "Go now." And for the first time in a long time, Ryan listened to that second voice. He stood up, and he walked toward the hill. The farm on the far side of the hill was not what Ryan expected. It was not grand. It was not decorated or impressive. It was simple. A small stone house with a wooden porch. But surrounding it was the most abundant, overflowing, alive garden Ryan had ever stood in front of. Vegetables in perfect rows, fruit trees, heavy, with ripening color flowers lining every path. The whole place felt like it breathed, and in the center of all of it, an old man was working, not sitting, not resting, working, slowly and carefully, but working with quiet, focused purpose. Ryan stood at the edge of the farm and watched him for a moment. This man built all of this? The farmer looked up. He saw Ryan standing there, and he smiled. The open, unhurried smile of someone who has been expecting exactly this kind of visitor for a very long time. "Come in," he said. "I think I know why you are here." The farmer, his name was Joseph, sat Ryan down on the porch and placed two objects on the wooden table between them. One was a small dry seed, so small Ryan almost missed it. The other was a smooth round stone, roughly the same size. "Which one looks more valuable?" Joseph asked. Ryan studied both carefully. "They look about the same," he said. Joseph picked up the stone. "This stone has existed for thousands of years. It has been shaped by rivers, worn smooth by time, hardened by 1,000 pressures. It is permanent. It is certain. It will look exactly the same in 100 years as it does today. Nothing about this stone will ever surprise you." He put the stone down. He picked up the seed. "This seed looks like nothing. Right now, it is smaller than your fingernail. If you dropped it on this floor, you might not even notice it. But inside this seed is the complete blueprint for something that could grow taller than this house, outlive your grandchildren, and stand strong through storms that flatten everything around it. The stone will always be a stone. But this seed contains an entire future that no one can yet see." He looked at Ryan with calm, certain eyes. "You are not lazy," he said quietly. Ryan blinked. Lazy people do not lie awake at night burning with what they are not doing. Lazy people do not feel shame. Lazy people do not walk over hills looking for answers. You are a seed who is afraid to be planted. Because once you are truly planted, once you commit with no escape, there is no more pretending. The growing must begin, and growing, real growing, is the hardest thing any living thing ever does. The silence that followed was the loudest thing Ryan had heard in years. Joseph stood and walked Rianto, the far edge of the farm where the land opened into a wide field. The left half was lush and full, green, productive, bursting with life. The right half was dry and empty, cracked brown earth, not one living thing above the surface. 40 years ago, Joseph said, all of this looked like that. He pointed to the dry half. I was 24 years old. I had this land and nothing else. I knew I needed to plant it. I knew exactly what to do. But every morning I woke up, and the field felt too big. The work felt too much. So I would plan to start, and then wait for the right moment. Wait until I felt motivated. Wait until the conditions were perfect. One winter passed. I did almost nothing. The following spring, I looked at my neighbor's field. He was the same age as me. He had started just 1 year before. His field was producing enough to feed 3 families. I will never forget how I felt in that moment. Standing at the edge of my empty land, looking at what was clearly possible, knowing that the only difference between his field and mine was the number of days I had chosen to wait, he turned to face Ryan directly. That was the last day I ever waited. I went home. I did not make a detailed plan. I did not read more about farming. I did not wait for motivation to arrive. I walked to the nearest corner of the empty field, the smallest corner, and I planted 3 seeds, just 3 seeds. The next morning, 3 more. The morning after, 3 more. Every single morning, without waiting to feel ready, without waiting for perfect conditions, without waiting for anything at all, just 3 seeds. He spread his arms wide toward the green living half of the field. That, he said simply, is what 3 seeds a day becomes in 40 years. They walked back to the porch. Joseph picked up a single dry piece of wood and held it in both hands. One last thing, he said. Motivation is like a match. It flares up bright and hot. In that first moment, it feels like it could light everything. But a match burns for 3 seconds. And then, you are standing in the dark again. Most people spend their entire life striking matches. They watch an inspiring video. Strike a match. They read a powerful story. Strike a match. They write a new plan on Sunday night. Strike a match. And every time the flame goes out, they feel like failures. They think the problem is inside them. But the problem is not them. The problem is they are trying to build a life on 3-second flames. He set the wood down slowly. Discipline is not a match. Discipline is a fire you build piece by piece. Small actions, every morning, laid carefully on top of each other like pieces of wood. A fire built from small, consistent actions, added every single morning without exception, does not go out. Not on your tired days. Not on your bad days. Not when you cannot see results yet. Not when nobody is watching. It does not go out. Because it is not powered by how you feel. It is powered by who you have decided to be. And that decision, unlike a feeling, does not change with the weather. Ryan looked out at the farm for a long moment. All of this from 3 seeds a day. All of this from a man who had sat by the river, felt the same shame, fought the same battle. He thought about his friend's business. He thought about every match he had ever struck that burned out. Before it touched anything real, he thought about the seed. He was not lazy. He was a seed afraid to be planted. He turned to Joseph. What were your first 3 seeds? What were the very first 3 actions you took? That first morning, Joseph smiled as if he had been waiting for exactly this question. 1. I woke up at the same time every morning. No negotiation. Whether I felt good or not, the same time, every day. 2. I worked on my field for 30 minutes before I did anything else. Not 1 hour. Not all day. Just 30 minutes. Anyone can give 30 minutes. 3. I removed the decision from the morning. I decided the night before what my 30 minutes would be spent doing. Because decisions made in the evening by the person you want to become are far stronger than feelings in the morning from the person you are trying to leave behind. Ryan left the farm as the sun was setting. He walked home slowly. The same road, the same sky, the same town he had walked through 1,000 uninspired mornings. But something had settled inside him that had not been there before. Not excitement, not motivation. Something quieter and stronger than both. That night, he did not make a long plan. He did not write a list of goals. He did not watch another video. He made 3 small decisions. He set 1 alarm earlier than usual. He decided exactly what his 30 minutes would be spent on. He put his phone on the other side of the room. Then he went to sleep. The next morning, the alarm sounded. Every old habit in his body said, 5 more minutes. He got up anyway, not because he felt ready, not because he felt motivated, not because he felt anything at all. He got up because he had made a decision the night before. He sat down. He did not open his phone. He opened the one thing he had been meaning to start for longer than he could remember. And for 30 minutes, just 30 minutes, he worked. When it was done, he felt something he had not felt in a very long time. Not pride, integrity, the quiet, solid feeling of being the same person on the inside and the outside. The feeling of a seed that has finally been placed in the ground. 30 minutes became an hour became a morning became a habit became a life. 6 months later, the thing Ryan had been meaning to start for 3 full years existed. It was not finished. It was not perfect. Some days were still hard. Some mornings the old voice still came. But it was real, and real is worth more than perfect, because perfect never begins. He went back to the farm one afternoon. The old farmer was where he always was. In his field, hands in the earth, working with quiet purpose. Ryan walked up beside him, then stood there for a moment without speaking. Then he said, I planted my first 3 seeds. Joseph looked at him, at his posture, his eyes, the way he stood in his own skin, and he nodded. He did not ask what the seeds were. He did not ask for details. He just placed one hand briefly on Ryan's shoulder and said, keep planting. Friends, there is no such thing as a lazy person. There are only seeds who have not yet been planted. People waiting to feel ready before they begin. Not realizing that readiness is not a feeling. It is a decision. People striking matches every Monday morning and wondering why the fire never seems to last. Not realizing you cannot build a life on 3-second flames. You need wood. You need structure. You need 3 seeds every morning. every single morning, without waiting for anything except the decision you already made. The stone on Joseph's table will always be a stone, but you are a seed. And seeds do not need perfect conditions. They do not need to feel motivated. They do not need to see the entire field before they allow themselves to go into the ground. They just need to be planted and trusted and given time. So I want to ask you one last question, and I want you to answer it honestly. What is the one thing you have been meaning to start? The thing that lives in the back of your mind and refuses to leave, that you could plant 3 seeds toward in the next 10 minutes. Not tomorrow. Not after this video ends. Not when the time is right. Now. Because the time is never going to be right. The conditions are never going to be perfect. The motivation is never going to stay. But you, right now, can make one decision. And that one decision, made and kept every morning, is the only thing that has ever built anything worth having. Plant your seeds. If this story moved something in you today, please like this video and share it with one person who needs to hear it right now. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that do not just inspire, but push you one step forward. Until next time, be patient with yourself, stay consistent, and never stop planting.